And did you initially think about becoming an artist?
Well, I think the idea did cross my mind when I was in my teens. I was quite a keen, well, not just painter. I made collages, made various kinds of objects, and in a style which was it was probably a bit connected with the times. This would have been the late 60s, and Robert Rauschenberg and American pop art and that kind of thing were in my mind. But in the end, I feel I probably just didn't want to do it enough. I got an offer from a university, and that struck me as very appealing, and I didn't apply to art school. And I think if I'd really been I think if you're really an artist, then that's the only thing you want to do. And so life took a slightly different course for me.
But do you ever find that the way in which you approach what you do, you approach it almost as if you were an artist?
Well, I like to think that I have a sense of how artists' mental processes work, and I think in a way it's helpful. It's a bit helpful now to me not to be a practicing artist, because I think if you're thinking about your own work, then that slightly gets in the way of thinking about other people's, or of thinking about it completely objectively, because you're bound to think about it from the starting point of what you're doing yourself, I think, otherwise. So I think it is a lot of what I'm doing when I'm writing is to do with trying to work out what artists' motivations were, how they were approaching a subject, and that applies to books I've written about artists quite deep in the past, so Van Gogh and John Constable and Michelangelo are among my subjects, and in a way that's not too different to me to the process of writing about somebody who's still alive and who I can phone up and talk to.
So psychology is a starting point for you when you approach, the artist that you write about.
Well, it's the artist's point of view. I'm more interested in what artists have to say and what they think and what they do than in what, say, historians say about art. Because I feel my hunch about the way it works has always been that the artists are in the driving seat, and really they control the direction of art rather than social factors, say, or economic factors, or other kinds of causes that are sometimes written about. Those may play a part too, but I think my experience of art is that they're such strong individuals, and they have such a powerful sense of where they want to go that they end up very often, if they're strong enough and good enough, they end up taking the whole of the process with them. So, I don't think art would be what it is today if it hadn't been for Pablo Picasso, for example, or if it hadn't been for Rembrandt van Rijn or Andy Warhol, or all sorts of people.